This is serious, so give me a quarter. I was a witness, get me a reporter. Call April O'Neil, and on this case, hey, you better hurry up. There's no time to waste.
Hell yeah.
It's Ninja Turtles.
That's how we set off this episode of the Set in Stone podcast.
By doing a 1990 rap from Ninja Turtles 1.
Yep.
T-U-R-T-L-E power. T-U-R-T-L-E power. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hell yeah, Kevin.
This is now episode -19, and it's also, I don't know if you remember Jacob, but he's not here.
Yeah, Jacob is on vacation right now. You know, he just graduated high school.
He graduated high school, and so it's not going to be as all over the place as it normally is. He's an unpredictable chap. He likes to suddenly left field you with a question or a joke.
That's fair.
Yep.
So it's just me and Kevin today.
Here we are. We're down one blonde guy.
We're down one blonde guy.
Yeah, it's you've heard that band Four Non Blondes. The reason they didn't have any blondes in the band is because we're all here. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, we you know them, right?
I don't know them.
I think you do. I think they would cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out what's in my head, and I'm feeling a little peculiar.
Oh my God. I haven't heard that song in ages. You know, there'll be songs where I don't know the name of them or the band. I just heard them as a child. And then they're just long forgotten songs. But then sometimes they come up on the radio and you have to pull up Google and be like, what's this song? I need this.
I'm going to check it to make sure I'm right. Pretty sure that's Four Non Blondes. But I am a heavy metal / Bollywood dude, so I don't know. Yeah, that's them. What's up? Four Non Blondes. Because they're not blonde. That's why.
Fuck yeah.
It would have been funnier if they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, pop music has gone downhill, though.
Well, yeah, why would you say that, Kevin?
Well, you know, pop music actually started like in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, pop and rock were essentially indistinguishable. You had like the people talk about Elvis, the king of rock.
Yeah.
But back then, that was also pop. Like he wasn't anything really different from pop. They hadn't really changed and hadn't split yet. And by the 60s rolled around, and then rock was established at that point. Hey, you want to be on a podcast?
You want to join? Sick.
Oh, hey, look, it's someone who's not blonde, by the way.
Oh.
We have a blonde problem on this
really?
podcast.
Yeah.
Really? Well, I'm glad to be the
Normally it's
minority.
three blonde dudes, and here we go. So we got a non-blonde. Not four non-blondes, just one. But so in the 50s, pop and rock were essentially indistinguishable. They were essentially the same thing. They kept, because you look at the 40s and what was the main genre of music in the 40s? So it was jazz.
Mm.
And then the 50s rolled around, and this new style of music started coming out, and they call it rock and pop and all this stuff. And then by the time the 60s rolled around, it had separated, because in the 60s, your rock stars got really crazy. You got, because the Beatles went crazy and the Rolling Stones went crazy, and all these bands started getting really rock oriented on one side. And then pop went into a very, very cool mode where, because pop used to take extreme talent. If you look back at the Motown era, for instance, in which I think started in the 60s, it was definitely the 70s, but you get these Motown groups who were up there and singing harmonies and dancing, choreography, full bands, good bands, and pop was legitimately good. And nobody doesn't like it. You play Motown hits, people dig it. They like it. And so pop didn't really start to become really poppy until the 80s. Mm. And by that time, I mean, heavy metal's out and hard rock and all this crazy kind of rock. And so in the 80s, you started getting pop and pop stars like Madonna and stuff like that. And they were more talented. They had better song structure, and they still had bands. In fact, you had like new wave music. I don't know if you consider that pop or rock or what, but they had whole bands, and they would go on stage and they would play instruments and they would sing and they'd dance or whatever. And a lot of that music people still love, you know. And then once the 90s rolled around, that's when pop hit its like peak of poppiness, because pop hadn't fused yet. Right, today's pop is fused. It's like EDM and hip hop and pop is all the same genre.
Yeah.
But in the 90s, they were all separate. and they're all better actually. What passes for EDM today is strange to me because what does the D stand for? Do you know?
EDM.
EDM?
What does the E stand for?
Electronic
Electronic?
dance music.
Dance
Really?
music.
Really?
Electronic dance music.
Well, yeah, well, then
And
Yeah.
That makes sense.
a lot of fits in that category.
except the problem is that modern EDM doesn't make me want to dance.
Really?
It just sounds like noises, especially like dubstep. Like, how does dubstep make people want to dance? I don't get that.
What's considered older dubstep? Like what bands are considered into that category?
I don't know dubstep that much, but EDM in the
Or
90s,
EDM.
in the 90s, EDM was dominated by a genre called Eurodance. And Eurodance, everyone knows one Eurodance song because they played at all the sports events. Y'all ready for this? You're like, yeah, it makes you want to go.
Oh yeah.
And then Eurodance in the 2000s gave way to Italo dance, which is your blue da ba dee da ba da
Oh,
da,
I love that one.
and that makes people want to dance. But then somewhere along the line, dubstep came out, and I swear, and I understand that it takes talent to make dubstep, but what I don't understand is why they don't strive for danciness, the groove,
Right.
right? Like if I just take a basic rhythm, if I just go ding dum 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 ding like a metronome, ding dum 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 ding, that doesn't really make you want to dance. But if you had one
Yeah.
little change to it, you go ding dun 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 ding dun dun, all of a sudden there's something there that makes you want to dance.
Right.
Mhm.
And so in the dubstep guys, they come out and they're like, I swear they came from a perspective of how can we make the ugliest sounds possible in the most chaotic, non-danceable rhythms. And then all of a sudden you get this and you're like, what? It like assails the ears.
I mean, people do a lot of drugs to that kind of EDM.
You're right.
And I think that has a part to play in it,
I
especially in
agree.
raves.
Yeah.
And these days pop is it's got all mixed in. Every once in a while you'll find a pop star who can still sing, but in the 90s, all of a sudden you had the mega pop.
Mhm.
It's like you had your boy bands and you had your Britney Spears type girls, Christina Aguilera, and
Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
I think he was 2000s.
Oh yeah, he was 2000s for sure.
But you had your boy bands like Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and then you had your Britney Spears and your Christina Aguilera and your Mandy Moore. She was one. She was big for a minute. She had this song, so baby, come to me, show me who you are, baby. It's and they would go up there and they dance and they would have headsets with microphones on them and they would actually sing their songs. The era of lip syncing was just transitioning into that. Now you got all these lip syncers, but they would actually sing and dance and they would have intricate songs, like relatively intricate with key changes and stuff that they don't have anymore.
It's actually difficult and actually takes talent.
Yeah, like Britney
Yeah.
Spears. Britney
Yeah.
Spears has that my loneliness is killing me and I key change. I must confess, I still believe. And then that song has a really killer bridge in it too. And then they lost all that. We went from that to up with my hair back and forth, up with my hair back and forth, up with my hair, which is it's like the whole song is just like up with my hair. Back
I
and
think
forth.
even more so now. I mean, from like a younger perspective, like especially with social media and TikTok and all these TikTok stars blowing into like what they're calling like pop stars now, but it's really not even. It's not even being recognized for that. I feel like it's all just off of TikToks.
Yeah, weird.
And
Yeah.
It's
it's
some
just not
weird
even-
clout that's not measurable.
Exactly, and it's not even measurable. Like you're saying. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and the music labels, they want their artists to create music that caters to TikTok because of the virality.
Right,
Of it.
it's not actually catering to anything actually
And of course,
meaningful. It's all for
they don't write their own stuff most of the time anymore.
Oh yeah, like Drake. A lot of ghostwriters.
yeah.
Drake, he is 69 God, you know.
Yeah. He's a 69 god.
Yeah.
Freaky ass, yeah. Those are the words exactly. That's what the words are on the radio, Eddie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I wonder if they play that on the radio now.
Probably the clean version.
The clean version of
Which is
that song. I wanna
probably
listen
every
to.
other word. Every
Yeah.
other few words.
but
It's not much.
but yeah, these days all the so-called pop stars are just some amalgamation of auto-tuned, weird, dubby, trappy
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And trap is another interesting one because trap is like to me, from what when I hear trap, what I hear is the worst of rap and the worst of EDM combined.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's like,
I really struggle to understand the appeal to like because I've been friends with people like that who are just so like immersed in like and that like to make their own music too and a lot of like the
Mhm.
SoundCloud rap and all that stuff and I have like a hard time seeing how I don't know infatuated they get with it.
it's strange.
It's
It-
strange to me, yeah.
It's strange. I would rather listen to EDM or rap.
Rather
When you
than
take
trap.
it's like the worst rappers with the worst DJs combined, and I don't understand it. I don't. It's a modern music suffers from what I call good enough syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
where they
I think-
Yeah.
as soon as they're good enough to impress their friends, they don't try to get any better.
Exactly. Well, I think it's like back to what Jared was saying. It's about I feel like it's just a lot of drugs too, and like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot. I don't know. I think a lot of the rappers that are associated with trap rap, a lot of their fan base is also associated with the rappers themselves and the struggles they go through, and then like the listeners, I don't know, resonating with that in a way, I guess.
Yeah. And in that case, I think of King Von. Do I have that right?
I have no
King
idea.
Von.
I would know.
He was a rapper. He was from O Block. He's also a serial killer.
Mm,
So he actually killed a lot of people.
really.
And then he would
Awesome.
actually create songs of kind of how he would go about killing people.
Holy shit.
And so, like, when you listen to his songs, it's like, damn, this guy actually killed people. And it kind of hits you different because there's a reality behind the song.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where what a lot of drill comes from. And a lot of that trappiness comes from is the actual going out and committing crimes. And so, like,
That's gangster rap too.
Yeah.
mhm.
And but that's even just take rap for example. Rappers have mostly gone downhill. It's very strange. You have some who stand out.
Mhm.
I don't like rap, but when it comes to actual talent in the rap world, in the '90s it was way more consistent. Most rappers were pretty good at rapping,
Mm.
and now in the modern times, most rappers really actually suck at rapping, but a few are way better than anyone has ever been, like Tech Nine.
Take mine.
Tech Nine as a rapper, like take whatever you think about Tech Nine or his message, take that out of it. Just take his
Yeah.
pure rapping skill. He's actually very elite. He's one of the only. I think he's the only rapper I've ever heard who can rap in any other time signature other than 4. I think I've heard him rap in 6/8 2 times, and so because essentially. The problem with when you talk to people who are rap fans, they don't know music theory, and so they don't know how to convey to you what they mean when they're talking about a good rapper.
Mm.
But I study music my whole life, and I know what they're talking about. Like, you have basic rhythms that sound like what I call Dr. Seuss rap. You know, like
That's true.
I'm going to the store and homie's on the floor. Everything is this and everything is that. Same rhythm here, same rhythm there. This is what we're doing. That's what it is, and that's all they do. And then right, but then you got people who like Tech Nine who actually throw different varying rhythms into it. They use concepts of triplets, syncopation, dotted notes in order to mix up the flow, as people would say. So instead of just being like, they're like, so they're mixing up the rhythm with triplets and dotted things and syncopation, and that's what mixing with their ability to rhyme, of course, which actually rhyming has gone downhill a lot too. The importance of rhyme in rap has become almost nullified completely.
Yeah.
It's crazy. If you analyze '90s rappers, they are far more consistent in their
yeah.
in their rhyming ability than modern ones.
Your MF Doom, your Biggie Smalls,
Yeah, Dr. Dre,
Eminem even. Yeah.
but Eminem. You know what? You know what drives me crazy about Eminem? A lot of
Yeah.
people, he's the rap god. I'm beginning to think I'm a rap god, and all that. Right? He's better than most, but I wouldn't call him a god. Like honestly, people, Eminem actually suffers in his rhythm department. He's way more about the words and the message than the rhythm, because sometimes he will just
True. Like he'll think about like dissing somebody or some like controversial statement instead of the flow. I feel like Eminem has a lot of. He's really good at rhyming. He's just not
He's
as
not
good with the
he's not
flow,
really
and the
good at
groove,
rhyming,
and trying to
but-
make people dance. Especially in his latest one that he just
Eminem
dropped.
thinks
Houdini.
orange rhymes with door hinge, and it doesn't.
Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah, and so like, but he will he will bend rhythm in a way that people might think of as artistic, but just hurts the ears of musically trained people.
Mm.
They're like, I got skeletons in my closet and I don't know if no one knows it, so before you throw me inside of my coffin and close it. He doesn't actually hit the phrasing in a way that makes sense with what they call the beat, which is not a beat.
Yeah.
They don't know music theory, but what they call the beat, he doesn't jive with the beat in a way that makes musical sense.
Yeah, because I believe musically, you have the beat and then you have the lyricism and then you have the flow.
Right.
And all three need to be in sync for it to be a good song.
And with Eminem, it would only work out well if someone wrote a beat to, he would have to lay it down to a metronome and then they can make a beat around it because the way he changes doesn't fit the phrasing of the actual beats.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion? I mean, it's like from someone who's more musically trained. I don't know how much like Kendrick you've listened to. I've been getting a little bit more into it lately. But what's your opinion on his? I mean, when it comes to those three, like the beat, the flow, and the lyricism. Because in my opinion, I don't know. I find his message, his lyricism, and then plus the beat and the flow all to be like nice to my ears. But I was just wondering how that come from someone who's more musically trained.
I don't remember which one he is.
Kevin doesn't know a lot of rappers. Unfortunately.
That's all right.
You've shown me that. I know that name. You've shown me him, right?
Yeah, I showed him Not Like Us.
Yeah. Oh, his
and
new
how funny
one.
that was.
Yeah. What's that?
Certified lover boys, certified pedophiles.
How do I?
But yeah, when it comes to Kendrick, what I love about Kendrick is, he's got the big three down, the
Mhm.
flow, lyricism, and getting those two along with the beat.
Yeah.
Plus, he talks about real struggle and real people's
Oh yeah.
problems.
Because
And not like I'm going down the street to kill somebody, but like
yeah, shoot.
the sorrows of being in the struggle,
Right.
the
It's
consequences.
like it's catered towards the culture, and that's where I mean I sometimes I feel dumb listening to Kendrick Lamar because I'm just this I don't know pretty much
Yeah.
white raised suburban Utah girl, but I mean it's yeah, I find it enjoyable.
I find it very enjoyable, and especially with the Mr. Morale, where he talks about
Yeah, no, that whole
therapy
entire
and-
album it's really like it's definitely I feel like that album especially is more catered towards a message rather than I don't know how people just initially listen to it, but I also just like how Kendrick and like the bigger rappers, I like how a lot of them still use like, I don't know. I find certain rap more appealing when they're more using more samples from like older like jazz and soul, and I feel like
They're the best.
bringing it
That's
back to that.
the best part
it's where
of
it
rap.
comes from.
The best part
is-
of rap is when they're not
Exactly.
rapping.
And
It's-
I don't
It's when they have an R&B chorus or something.
exactly. I would agree. Yeah.
Like you look at, if you go back, like I don't know if you ever saw the Space Jam movie. They had a big old Space Jam rap in the
Mhm.
Space Jam movie, the original one. And the best part of the Space Jam is when the guy's not rapping and the girls sing.
Yeah.
It's like, welcome to the Space
No,
Jam. Here's
I
your
would agree
chance. Do
with
your
that.
dance.
I don't know how much Childish Gambino you've listened to, Jared. But his whole
I've listened to a fair amount,
Yeah.
like 3005 and
Yeah.
some of the other older ones.
his whole Awaken My Love album is completely like not completely I would say, but I think I pretty inspired off of Funkadelic's Maggot Brain album, and I feel like that's like I don't know. I feel like that's why like it's one of his like best albums in my opinion, is just because I don't know. There's a lot of funk inspired music off of that. And I
Yeah,
enjoy
funk and
doing some
jazz
funk
is always
and
wonderful.
jazz, soul,
Well, that's because funk and jazz
R&B.
take actual talent. That's the
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these rappers, they'll just steal some melodic hook and rap over it. And
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
they did that to a Bollywood song. My
Fuck.
my buddy was playing Grand Theft Auto, and this Bollywood song comes on that I know, and I was like, "There's Bollywood in Grand Theft Auto," and that guy starts rapping over it. I was like, "You just stole a Bollywood song to rap
Right?
over?"
And then it's like that's the groovy part. That's the part that you get into. You're like, okay, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
not theirs.
And it's crazy.
Yeah, I do think there are some rappers though that can take that though and make it their own and still make it like good though, you know?
But where are the rappers who do it all themselves? They're
Right?
so rare.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
Tyler the Creator.
because like in
He
heavy,
produces and raps.
In
Like Igor,
Pharrell.
Pharrell too.
Pharrell's an amazing producer.
but
Amazing.
see, the producers a lot of times have more talent than rappers.
Oh, 100%. I
agree.
would agree. I feel like and that's where you see like a lot of producers are just more branched off into other stuff artistically as well.
Right.
Like I was talking to Jordan and like Pharrell's like the creative like the head of like I don't know, something creative for like Saint Laurent and stuff. Like I don't know if that's actually correct, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of that is I
Well,
would agree.
Take for instance in the heavy metal world, they're just a very, very unique phenomenon. it doesn't happen very often in music, and that is the one-man band, right? You'll have some guy on YouTube who just he doesn't really want to play shows. He just wants to make art for the sake of art, and so he will learn how to play drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, and vocals. He will write it all and play it all on all the instruments and record it all. He'll learn engineering. He'll do all this stuff and make exemplary music all by himself. And I'm like, where is even one rapper who plays an instrument? Like how?
Tyler, the Creator.
Like one. Okay. But in metal, there are tons, right?
Yeah. In rap, there's not that much, you know.
Like, let's take this.
Because the labels, they have like huge teams. So it'll be like 50 people working on one song to make it viral enough and to make the sound perfect.
Exactly. I think it just circles back to just making it viral enough and making money off of it. And
but imagine this. Imagine you're just on TikTok or YouTube or whatever you're on. Imagine you just got, and all of a sudden, a video pops up. And some dude's sitting there at an electric drum kit. And he's like, then the screen splits, and then all of a sudden there's another screen of the same guy with a bass going doom 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 boom 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 boom, and then all of a sudden it shows and he got a piano, and he's like doom 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 boom, and then all of a sudden it's four of him, and then this one he's spitting. You wouldn't look away. You wouldn't be like, next. You'd be like, oh, this guy's playing drums. Oh, he's also, oh, wait, hold on. What's going on? And you watch. And then it was like, and he's spitting. Whoa. And the criminal thing about it is he would never become one of the most famous rappers, even though he would be one of the most talented because he can do all that stuff.
Yeah.
He'd be playing it live rather than even recording it with like digital MIDI stuff. Like, it's crazy. And they don't even want to try. It's so like, all right, take indie music. Indie music, you go to a coffee shop open mic, most of the artists are going to be indie artists.
Right.
And so essentially what indie boils down to is usually some girl, there's a guitar at her house that someone in her family plays. So she starts playing on it, she learns a few chords, and then she suddenly realizes she can make simple lyrics over them. And usually they're just about nothing. Like, it'll be a song about how, like, she left her scarf in her boyfriend's car, and that's the song. And she's like, now I can't wait now I have a reason to call him again, and then I'll get my scarf back. It's a simple song, and it'll be played simple chords, you know. And it's like jing 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 jing, just two chords. I left my scarf in my boyfriend's car.
Hell yeah.
I sure hope he doesn't drive too far. When he comes to me, I know I'll find my scarf hiding there inside.
Should listen.
Like, and they do that.
Bars, Kevin.
That's just off the top of the head. Sometimes it takes me a year to write one of my metal songs. And I just come up with that. But here's the thing I appreciate about that is this girl took the time with a guitar to figure out how to do that. When raps are like, hell no, I don't need that shit. I spit bars. I'm like, how about try playing piano while you do it? That's hard.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like, you get this, rappers, they have their hard stuff. They have essentially three kinds of rap song styles, right? They'll have the I'm going to show you how good I am at rapping, which is stuff like Rap God. And then they got their stuff where it's just like, this is my style. It's flex stuff where they're just like, yeah, this is my life. This is what I do. These are my homies. And then they have the now it's time to get emotional, which is like your 8 Mile stuff. I'm sorry, mama. I never meant to hurt you. Right? That type of stuff. They do these three things. Well, imagine if you got to that emotional one. You're doing this set, everyone's going crazy, everything goes hard, and all of a sudden they wheel out this grand piano, and they're like, huh? And then that rapper sits down. He doesn't even have to play anything crazy. He could just play bass chords like blum, 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 dun, dun, dun. Then the beat kicks in, dun, and he starts, and now I'm gonna hit you with something emotional, and now it's coming down. While he's playing, people would be like, oh, oh, and then they would brag about that. They'd like, this dude, he freaking plays the piano while he raps. Why is that not shit? All the other genres of music have that. Even pop. A lot of pop stars play piano. What the heck? Rap. Do something.
I think with the computers, you know, you can create your own noises that you could never do with an instrument.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of it's just right, like at the click of a button. You don't take that time to learn it.
But it doesn't hit as hard.
It doesn't. Like I saw Cypress Hill in concert, and they had a DJing booth and everything. That was really cool. But what was really cool about it is they had this huge drum set with bongos and like all this shit. And that was what was really captivating about it, was because they had live music there. They had instrumental there, and I think like I would
People
definitely.
inherently love
exactly
that.
yeah.
Rappers in the 80s had bands.
Oh yeah, like
they had rap bands. They had a guy up there with drums and bass and turntables, everything. They had it all, and now they have a guy on a computer who pushes play, and it just drives me crazy. Like, because as a musician, every musician starts when they start their musical journey. They don't know how to do anything. That's how you start a journey. And there are some people, no matter what their journey is, whether it's music or cooking or sports, they start from zero. And then some people have the ambition to become elite and some do not. And there's nothing wrong with that inherently. But what I don't understand is why specifically rap doesn't have that ambition. Because rock does, country does, pop
I don't
even
know.
used to.
It depends on the producer. Because there will be like Metro Boomin, who he'll produce a beat with like 20 different instruments. And like you'll see like videos of him online, where they try to make that beat actually with instruments, and there'll be like 20 different instruments, an entire orchestra just for one beat for a track. And I think that's the beauty of things like FL Studio, is you can add all these instruments at once without needing 20 to 100 people to play out all the instruments in the track. So
but at
the end of the day, it's how much work and effort you put into the beat. Because you can take two or three samples and then just make a generic beat. But if you actually take your time on the beat, you can make something amazing.
But it's not the same though, because if they do that, why don't they then learn how to play one of the instruments?
Some do.
But
not all though.
Where are they? In rock, you can point them out in every band, like in country, in blues, in jazz, in funk, in classical, all this stuff. These are the ones who have that ambition to become something else. Imagine this. So like, let's take my little Fruity Loop studio that you're talking about. I'm going to take my Fruity Loops and I'm going to take the music of Swan Lake by Tchaikovsky, and I'm going to put all notes in there exactly with all these cute little Fruity Loop sounds. It's not going to impress anybody. They're going to be like, yeah, but I could just YouTube a symphony doing it. Exactly. What if you went to go see an opera and they had Fruity Loops for the music? It'd be stupid.
Yeah.
As an actor, actually, it's really irritating when you end up in a musical production and they don't have a pit orchestra. And they're just like, oh, yeah, we're just going to cue your music. And like, cue my music? How am I supposed to vibe with the conductor? How am I supposed to vibe with the pit?
Never thought about that.
Yeah, it's stupid. Yeah. Because then they learn how you sing it, and then they learn to match you, and they follow you. It's a different intimate experience, which rap used to have, honestly, in the 80s. Like, it's crazy. And coming from the heavy metal perspective, the barrier for entry at heavy metal is set higher than most genres of music. Like, if you compare all your Creed and Stained and Seether and Nickelback and stuff like that, like, a lot of people could learn to be that good. But if you want to take into some of the greats of the heavy metal world, like Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden and stuff like that, you're just not going to find the average person who's capable of doing that. And so heavy metal generally attracts musicians who are already at the level of ambition to try to tackle it.
Right.
You get some drummer who sees some crazy metal drummer doing crazy stuff with the double bass, and he goes, I wonder if I could do that. And then he strives and gets better and better and better. And then all of a sudden his buddy's like, hey, I have a band, you should play with me. And they push each other to get better and better and better. And rap they're so obsessed with the image of like arrogance. That's honestly what it is. Rappers have this image of arrogance. They're like, I want to brag. And I want people to see how cool I am.
The girls,
the
drugs.
Which
it's not about the music. It's nothing about the music.
Yeah, and that's why they don't ever strive to become amazing. Those are the rappers who stay the those are those rappers. And it's crazy. Like, another example is country music. For some reason, what country music will tell you, they're like, the thing I like about country is that it tells a story. And I'm like, yeah, most songs tell a story, you idiot. It's not a country thing. Like even rap tells a story, and pop tells stories. Like, you think Taylor Swift is not doing stories? I mean, she's a little country, I guess, in the olden days, but like, And then as a metalhead, that drives me crazy because there are metal bands where they have multiple albums where every song in the album is telling a different chapter of the same story, and they couldn't fit it on one album. You know, there's an Italian metal band called Rhapsody, and they had an album called Symphony of Enchanted Lands. And this story, every song told the next part of the story to the point where they couldn't even contain it on one album, and they had to make Symphony of Enchanted Lands Volume 2. So you want to tell me that country tells a story? Get wrecked, dude. That's ridiculous. And then you have this band Coheed and Cambria, which they're not really metal. They get metal sometimes, but Coheed and Cambria, literally every single song and every single album they've ever made is telling the life journey of two characters named Coheed and Cambria.
That's
so
beautiful.
Screw you, country. You don't tell a story. It's crazy. And what is the story? Big, old, jacked up truck. That's a wonderful story.
Yeah, it's the same situation.
Thank you. Like Despacito is one of the most played songs of all time, and most people don't speak Spanish, right? But they love Despacito. It's got billions of views on YouTube. Billions.
And that's why I say, it comes to the vibe, because it's the vibe of Despacito. They don't know the language, but they don't care because they love the vibe.
Right. And in the same way, like music without words has that effect. There's this amazing guitarist. His name is Estas Tone. I don't know how to say it. He's Ukrainian. I don't know how to say it with a Ukrainian accent. I thought he was Spanish because his guitar work is just magical. He's this gorgeous long-haired dude with incense burning his guitars, and he just tears these acoustic guitars up with no words, and it is captivating to anyone. He doesn't need words at all. But rap relies so much on these words that here's the thing: if you listen to a rap in another language, a lot of times it's not going to hit you because you don't know what they're saying, and it's so based on that. Yeah.
Yeah, because the nice thing about Central C is that English accent has a different sound to it, which can attach to different rhythms. And if you were to translate a Central C song to an American song, it would just not be the same. It would not take off like that, because accents really bring a different thing to music, and that's why.
Yes. And Sean Paul. Why is Sean Paul popular? Is it because he's good?
I don't know who Sean Paul is.
Yeah, you do. It's all good, girl, turn me on to the early man. Let's get it on. Let's get it on to the early man. Why is he popular? Because he's the only Jamaican rapper that anyone knows, right? So,
Oh, Bob Marley. Isn't he Jamaican?
He's not a rapper.
Oh, yeah, he's not a rapper.
He's just blasphemy.
Yeah, dude. Damn.
No, Bob Marley is a greater musician than any rapper will ever hope to be. Or was a greater musician. Or Rip Bob Marley.
Yeah, Rip Bob Marley.
And Sean Paul, Temperature. Do you know the song Temperature? I got the right temperature and something do.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that on the radio.
Everyone loves that song, right? So but why? It's because what you were saying. He brings this Jamaican accent and vibe that allows him to do things with English.
Yeah.
And it makes him unique. Also, I honestly think he's better than most rappers because he actually sings more than he raps.
Nice.
And which as what Punjabi rappers do too. Punjabi rappers are sing rapping. They're rapping with pitch. But most people aren't going to listen to Punjabi rap because they don't speak Punjabi. But if one of these Punjabi rappers started rapping in English with an Indian accent, all of a sudden he might have a banger on his hands. For exactly the reason you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you find these incredible musicians on YouTube who do just absurd things that no one's ever seen before. Absurd talent, right? I saw this guy came up, he was playing a bass, but he had a keyboard on his bass. So he was playing the bass with his thumb, and he's playing the bass like this, but with his fingers he was pushing the keyboard. And he was
Damn, dude. That's fucking gnarly.
Yeah, and I'm like, how come that guy's not one of the most famous? There's this girl, her name is Gunhild Carling.
Gunhild Carling.
She's a German savant. She's a prodigy. She can play 12 instruments.
Wow.
And she can play 3 trumpets at once.
How do you?
She has a song where in the same song she plays trumpet, bass, harmonica, bagpipes, recorder, tap dancing, singing, piano, all in the same song. She just keeps switching.
Wow.
And the way she starts the song is she balances a trumpet on her face and plays it without touching it while playing a stand-up bass and balancing the trumpet and playing it.
That's nuts.
And then she tap dances. Like,
That's fucking awesome.
Honestly, I'd call it gangster.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Because she's actually flexing on something that matters, her actual abilities in music.
And how many people can do that? But then I could tell you, I have never heard of that before. But everyone knows who Justin Bieber is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and it's fair. I get it, because like, here's the thing: the most important thing about all of this is that it doesn't matter what you like, and it doesn't matter what reason you like it. But there is the underlying issue of actual quality, and it drives me crazy as someone who's been studying music since the age of 5, and I'm 36 now. I know how music works. I went to college for music. I understand music theory, music history, all this stuff. And so in the same way that if you go to your mechanic and your mechanic says, you need a new catalytic converter, and you don't know anything about mechanics, do you argue with your mechanic? Do you say, I disagree?
That's a good point, Kevin.
Yeah. For some reason, a college-educated musician does not get the respect that anyone else who's trained in the field. If you go to your doctor and your doctor says, if you don't stop smoking, you're going to die in a year, you don't go, I think I got another year, doctor. You don't do that. You say, I better stop smoking or I'm going to die in a year. Because your doctor went to school and studied it and he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
The point is about all of this, it doesn't matter what you like, whatever music you think is awesome or cool or good, doesn't really matter. Don't take what I have to say as something that makes you think you need to change what you're doing. The important thing is you should never stop searching for more. Find other stuff you like. Things change, your moods change, your appetite changes, all that stuff changes, and you never know what else there is unless you look for it. So regardless of what some crazy elitist heavy metal classical snob says about how crappy trap is, doesn't matter. If you like trap, then you should like trap and listen to trap. And if you don't like what I have to say, then you just type it out furiously in the comments and all that stuff. But the important thing is what you like is good. It doesn't matter the quality of the music or the quality of the message or the quality of anything. What you like is good for you, so like it and listen to it, and also like and subscribe this podcast.
Beautiful, Kevin.
And this is Jared, and I'm Kevin, and then this is Kayla here. She's joined us for the first time today because we have way too much blonde in the podcast.
I'm glad to
Yeah.
bring the brown.
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. And that's it for the
is it?
the Hello Lit podcast. No. Set in Stone podcast. That's what it is.